How the heck are you, everybody? I am Fastidious. Welcome to my channel. This is going to be a fantastic video in which we cover, because as you can see from your screen, I am joined by the fantastic Ronaldo plays. We are going to be discussing the top 5 legendary heroes for end game content. So these are the best legendary heroes in the game when you're actually beating the game and clearing the absolute hardest content in the game. So in a second, we are going to go over all the specific rules for what comprises endgame content, who is allowed to make this list, who isn't. But first, I have to introduce my lovely guest. Ronaldo, do you want to say hi to the people?
Hi guys, Ronaldo here, and thank you Fastidious for having me.
Totally my pleasure. Thank you for being here, and actually thank you for having these ideas for this really fun video. I'm going to tell you guys there's some absolute spice in these takes, but honestly only accurate information here, so don't you worry. But you came to me with the idea to make this Endgame Legendaries hero content, this amazing video, and also we just filmed on your channel the top 5 endgame, not late game, endgame epics when at Awaken level 5. So if you're interested in, if you're there yet in the end game and you want to know who's the best, or you're working on getting there and you want to be aspirational and just learn about who the actual end game best heroes are, this is going to be the content for you. So Ronaldo, how about we get right into it and define what end game is? Do you want to let the people know how we're going to qualify end game?
So basically what qualifies end game is your unit replaceable? And how viable is this unit in the latest stages of content? So, key rates at stage 21, being Guild Boss at 50k blood, and also the Nightmare Void Rift.
Absolutely, and just to exactly what you said, to add 2 more things, we do have a rule, no Lords, so there'll be no Soul Cadens on this list, right? Nothing like that, no Elder, no Lords allowed. This is just for our normal heroes, some of which are way more powerful than Lords, but we'll get into that in a second. And also, we are gonna, it's hard to just speculate, but we're gonna have an eye when evaluating these characters on the future, so how we could see them continuing to dominate in content that doesn't even exist yet. So brand new content like Immortal Codex, which came out today, but then things that we know are coming but who knows when, like Guild Boss 2, or things that we can't even dream of yet. That's going to be, I imagine, immensely difficult. So do you want to kick this list off with your number 5 hero, your number 5 legendary endgame hero, Ronaldo?
Fastidious.
Fastidious.
Alright, I kick-started off with Zillitu. So Zillitu is a bit of a different case than my other heroes on this list. And that is that pretty much most of the late game heroes or end game heroes that we have are really versatile. Whereas Zillitu, she basically has one job, and that is being a boss killer. She is a boss killer. She is the highest damage dealer for the guild boss by a mile at the moment. And then she is also in arena extremely strong. In terms of single target damage, she is unmatched. And because of guild boss 50k being one of the hardest things to do in the game, and her being the absolute best unit at guild boss and at boss lane, she is at my place in the 5th place.
Yeah, I think I'm not even going to come close to disagreeing with anything you just said. I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. I think actually for the reasons you articulated, this is why she's my number 1 honorable mention. So if this was the top 6, she would have been number 6. I love the take that she should be on the list, because even if she's niche, because she's really good at just one specific thing, the thing she's absolutely the best at is being the key piece in getting you that 50k blood on Nightmare 4. I know I'm not even close to getting there yet. I'm grinding away at it, and if I didn't have her, it would be, I would be a far long dream right now. So I think that's super valid. The reason she doesn't make my top 5 is because that's probably the only piece of endgame content you need her for. So even though she's literally a killer for that content, I think that's why she didn't make my list. But if people had her even higher than number 5, I wouldn't blame them at all. She's truly a beast. We aren't going to specifically count awakenings for this list, everybody. However, I do want to highlight her Awakened 3, which is one of the single strongest awakenings in the entire game. If this was like an A3 legendaries list, she would have had to make my my top 5. However, you can't assume even in the end game that you're going to have pulled 4 copies of Seal 2. But oh my god, you get an extra 10 seconds on her already shockingly long ultimate. It goes from 35 seconds to 45 seconds. Do you have her with some awakenings, Ronaldo?
I don't have awakenings, but I can already tell you at A0 with the Rage Region comp that I run, her ultimate is just going
it's true.
and going.
It's true. Yeah, she's unbelievable. Honestly, she really is. And the fact that she's only number 5 on your list, and she would have been number 6 on mine, didn't even make mine. That really speaks to the next bunch. Let's pick it up actually with my number 5, who I'm presuming will make your 5 as well, and that's going to be Comet. So Comet, I honestly think has become underrated. What do you think about that?
I actually think Comet aged a bit like a fine wine, and
Yeah.
I think I'm really happy about that because when Vierna came out, everyone was like, "Oh, Vierna, this and that, Comet, boring." And now with time, people got lots of Comet, and Comet just has established himself as the king of AoE magic damage.
I really think you could not have said it better. And I do still think there's some people, just because Vierna's rarer maybe, that just don't think Comet is the best. And I think we're both here to tell you guys he really is. I mean, it's more of like a burst damage that turns into AoE, which might sound like a kind of pedantic distinction, but that's really important because his standalone damage, even single target, is nuts. And so basically he's like a strong single target magic damage dealing legendary who, oh, by the way, happens to turn that into AoE whenever it lines up, which is all the time. So you would be hard pressed, I think, to find a comp where he isn't the top damage dealer, at least for a traditional comp for Gear Aid 1. And for Nightmare Void Rift, this guy is a delete button. When they do that Esotericist buff, like it's like a cheat code. I finally just pulled Raiden. He was the last of the main factions, like the non-exclusive factions. He was the last Lord for me to get, the faction without a Lord. And since I got Raiden, like even then, it's like you thought Comet was strong. Once you get a Raiden, or maybe you get Venoma, or if you're crazy lucky and get Cyrus, this guy he's ridiculous. He works almost everywhere.
Definitely, he's been my second legendary after Azor, and I had like 2 legendaries the first 3 weeks of playing. Yeah, I had 2 legendaries, Azor and Comet, and I didn't stagnate anywhere because Comet just carried me in every single piece of content.
Yeah, the numbers he puts out are crazy, and he even has some pretty solid base stats. So if we go to max level here, 4600 is pretty darn good for an AoE mage. He's got obviously cracked out multipliers, and then 2.6 seconds, that's a lot faster than what we see out of these guys typically. Just everything works for him. He synergizes beautifully in his faction as well. I freaking love this guy. I'll tell you guys right now, Vierna didn't make either of our lists. She would have been my number 7 probably, so I'll give her an honorable mention. So for anyone screaming because they're a giant Vierna stan, I will just say Vierna puts out good damage, and then she has crazy ability with her execute function. However, the actual damage that Comet's putting out, once you really get them both up and running, you will feel a difference, and I think that's significant. So, shall we go on to your number 4, Mr. Ronaldo?
I think maybe we start off with your number 4, because my number 4 will have some controversy with number 3.
It?
So I need to justify my number 3 there,
Okay, so then I will take it away. I think there will be no controversy here in this hero making the list. The only controversy with Elowen, who is my number 4, is going to be if she should have been higher, I believe. Elowen, simply put, is a very, very good healer. I think sometimes people wonder what all the hype is about, if she's just a very, very good healer. And to those people, I say, meet nature's favor. When you just max this out, and I just maxed this out on my Elowen, the difference this ability makes to literally every single comp you will run, Elowen can fit on every single team and every single piece of content in this entire game. This is going to come out to every 3 seconds. Every single ally is getting 3% boosted to their rage cap, so a 3% fill in their rage towards their ultimate, and that does not have to be in her range. Literally everyone on the map. If that doesn't sound powerful, I don't know why it doesn't, but I just take my word for it. It's unbelievable. Honestly, if someone put her number 1, I don't even think I would argue. I will explain with my top three. I think when I say my top three, it will make sense. But basically amazing healer, just a very solid healer. I don't love her range if I'm being honest, but it's solid. But this nature's fit, and also of course she's got her little wood elf, so that kind of does extend her range a bit. This wood elf puts out crazy healing too. It's ridiculous. But this nature's favor, the rage regen she gives you, which I will make a distinction with Hollow. At some points you can get Hollow putting out more rage regen, but it needs conditions, right? The allies need to be in Hollow's range, and she needs to be healing them for her maximum boosts to rage. Elwyn does not need to be doing any healing. She could be in one corner of the map completely away from everyone else, and she just click clack rage forever. She's tremendous. I would say if you have to do one knock against Elwyn, I'm not blown away by any of her awakenings, quite frankly. They really don't matter. So that's kind of a bummer. For a hero this good, you kind of pulling dupes of her kind of becomes annoying, which really isn't the case. Actually, it isn't the case for any other hero on either of our lists. But oh my god. You want to say anything about Elwyn? I have a feeling she's got to be on your list, right?
She is on my list as well, yeah. And she is, of course, like you said, extremely strong. And I also want to put out some special emphasis as well on her healing, because her rage regen is strong, but her healing is nuts. And especially with the Wood Elf, you can keep everyone alive. Like, her amount of burst healing is at the moment unmatched.
Yeah,
and
that's
AoE
true.
as well.
That's true. Yeah, I'm so into the rage. I didn't want to downplay the healing. She is either the best or second best healer in terms of the heals she puts out. In terms of AoE healing, she's unmatched. And I need to say, because we said we were going to keep an eye to future content, she is, between epics and legendaries, there's only two heroes in the whole game that can dispel debuffs. Basically, it's Elwyn and Midon. Midon doesn't really do anything else that's so interesting. She's got a bit of a multi-target AoE HP-based heal. The multipliers on that are bogus compared to Elwyn. And then Elwyn has the dispel as well. So obviously a lot harder to get Elwyn, but you can only imagine how do you make a gacha game harder, right? How do you make an RPG harder? More status effects, more crowd control, more debuffs, right? So think of what we have right now, phase 1 with the Aracha boss and those poisons. You kind of need a Midon, or you kind of need a Elwyn, right? You can imagine as they do more and more stuff, Elwyn, this is the kind of hero that can only get stronger, I think. So you're super right about the healing, and then the dispel debuff, and oh my god, she's just amazing. She maybe she should be number 1. I don't know. She's amazing.
And her drop rate is low as well, right? Her
very low,
rate.
very low.
Yeah.
Especially
speaks volumes as well, right? These drop rates.
Yes, her drop rate's tremendously low, and especially compared to the other legendary healers. So for sure, Ezreal and Sadie have a super high drop rate. Elwyn, I actually never pulled her. I got her for my legendary pack card, thank God. So,
all right. Should I go?
Let's get into the spice. Number 4.
All right, number 4 is Hatsut. That's right, Hatsut is number 4, and my number 3 will be Comet overthrowing Hatsut. Now, at first, I had them both sharing third place.
Wait, can you hold on for 1 second? Mm-hmm. Maybe we should give the viewers a moment to yell at you in the comments really quickly, and then...
All right, let's give him a brief moment.
All right, continue.
Okay, so at first I was thinking of putting Comet and Hatsut at the same place, because they are both extremely versatile and extremely strong at what they do. Like, Comet and Hatsut are amazing for Gear Raid 2, right? Hatsut is amazing for Gear Raid 3, while Comet is amazing for Gear Raid 1. Hatsut is amazing for Arena. Comet is amazing for Arena. They are so good at similar pieces of content. So many pieces of content. Hatsut has that defense shred in her kit, which enables her late game viability even more, which makes her Void Rift viable as well. Comet is a magic damage dealer, which enables his viability as well more, because magic damage is more viable at the current state of the game, because the tankier units usually have a lower magic resist than the less tanky units. And the thing that tipped Comet over Hatsut for me was basically irreplaceability. So with the addition now from Allura, Hatsut has gotten some competition in Gear Raid 3, right? You can put Allura on the right side in stage 21, or you can put Hatsut in stage 21. Whereas in Gear Raid 1, if you don't have Comet at the current state of the game, and you don't have a legendary Lord for an AoE mage, you're not gonna clear stage 21. That's how it is. Because how I cleared stage 21, I tried different stuff. I tried Vierna, I, and everyone, and always Comet had the double amount of damage than anyone else. He is not replaceable unless you have a legendary Lord to help your Vierna out, deal insane amounts of more damage. And even then, it's going to be extremely difficult. And also in Gear 8 2, at the beginning, I was believing Hatsut is better for Gear 8 2 because Comet has a high cost on his ultimate, but with Laurel coming in the late game, Comet's cost problem is gone. Comet's cost problem is gone, and Comet is one of the few units that is able to clear Gear 8 2 stage 21 as a single DPS. Without any other DPS, he takes care of each of the waves on his own. And on top of that, I just keep
You
going.
really want to justify it.
I got it.
You
Because
got
otherwise people will be like, oh, Hatsut. And on top of that, Void Rift, he's amazing. He's a threat. And the main problem, like people had at the beginning, was his high rage. But nowadays, this rage problem mainly has been solved with these rage regen comps. You can just pretty much neglect his rage problem. Even his damage without his ultimate up is nuts. His multiplier is nuts on his normal attack, his second attack.
That's true.
And then, just as a fun little fact for you guys, I tried Comet in Guild Boss, so single target, with a Rage Regen comp, and he did nearly 50 million damage as an AoE mage. So yeah, this is my justification for Comet being over Hatsut.
Absolutely. That really speaks to what I was trying to touch on when I discussed Comet, because like the damage he puts out is equivalent to like a good single target DPS, and then it's just like, oh, by the way, most of the time it's going to be AoE on top. So I think it's justified. I think it's a hot take. You'll see Hatsut is a bit higher on my list. I think one thing we can shout out with Hatsut, and we'll get into her a little bit deeper when I discuss her, not too much, because you did cover most of the bases there. Hatsut's A5 is beyond cracked. It's one of the best A5s in the game. I will say her other awakenings are kind of a bummer.
I don't even know what is it.
Oh, she gets an extra second on her ultimate, so it goes for 4 seconds now, which basically makes it 33% more. Which is this is one of the this is an argument to be the best ult in the game. It's nuts. So we'll go to my number 3, and it's a nice transition because you said you could not do it without a legendary lord or comet on 121. Well, there's one way you can do it for sure. I'll have a video coming out soon. The reason that I don't blame you at all for not saying it is this is one of the rarest heroes in the game that anyone that's kept up with my content knows I was crazy lucky to get, and that's gonna be Ardia. So not the most accessible hero, but we're talking end game. We're not talking free to play. We're not talking mid game, right? We are talking end game. And oh my god. So I showed the strat off about a week ago. I did it again yesterday, I believe it was, or 2 days ago. Just showing you that she can, from behind the wall, kill the boss before the big mobs at the end march down. The reach on this ultimate and the strength of this ultimate is cracked, doesn't even begin to cover it. I think Ardia is our introduction to power creep in Watcher of Realms. I'm not going to get so into it because I do have a video coming out on her soon that I think a lot of people will be excited to see, even with my kind of like solid but not crazy, good but not crazy gear. What she can do, it's hard to put into words. It's like she's a hack. She really is. So the reason I didn't put her higher, I will say she has very limited guild boss viability. She's got amazing bleeds. I'll just show you guys her kit really quickly. Crazy AoE. They actually told us the number, which I wish they did every time. 7 targets on the A1. The damage on this is really crazy. For anyone that doesn't know, she has by far the highest base attack in the game. So that makes her one of the easiest DPS to build in the game. You can easily run her triple crit damage and still get her attack over 20k, which is what I'd call sufficient. For if you want some perspective, if you want to go for an attack build and still get some crazy crit, Ray from Dragon Slayer's community built Ardia with 33,000 attack and still over 300% crit damage. The numbers on that at an A3 Ardia he had. It's about as cracked out a hero as exists in the game. She's got bleeds that can come when her ultimate's happening. She's going to get, where's the bleed? I'm so sorry. The bleed's over here from her passive. She throws these really cool circular blades. She kind of does everything. On top of that, this goes down to 600 costs. A very, very cheap ultimate is an auto. You get this girl in a Soulbound Arcana set. She is popping off forever. She has some of the absolute best awakenings. She has defense reduction. During her frenzy state, that's what triggers during an ultimate. Killing an enemy is going to extend the duration of this state by 1 second, up to 10 seconds. You almost always will get the full 10-second duration for the content you'll use her in. And then if you somehow get an A5 Ardia, she's going to get even more rage back. Could go on and on about this hero, and I will, because I have a video coming out about her. But that is going to be my number 3. She enables you to do things that currently no other hero in the entire game can do. If you have Ardia and Elder, GG. That's all I can really say. Any thoughts you have on her? Or you haven't really played around with her, I presume?
I already told you in advance, I would also have her on my list if I had her, but because I don't have her, it was hard for me to really say how good she really is. So Fastidious has the insights on her since he has her. Otherwise, Silitu would fall out of the list. Simply because what Ardia really makes so strong is, like he said, her insane attack. Like 8k attack is so nuts because of how defense works in this game, right? Mm-hmm. If you have, let's say, 10k attack and the enemy has 8k defense, only 2k attack gets through and then gets the multiplier from, let's say, 300% crit damage, gets you 6k damage that comes out. But if you now have an Ardia, let's say instead of 10k, she will have 15k in attack. Just small numbers. Just don't take them as reference, just random numbers as an example. Then 7k will come through, times 3, the multiplier of crit will be 21k. So 6k to 21k, simply because of that attack difference, which is why defense shred or attack buffs or just a nuts high attack is extremely valuable in this game. And yeah, she is amazing. She's also, I forgot before to mention, like you said, one of the units that can actually deal with stage 21, but she may not be a lord, but she's only in the Ancients summoning pool.
Yeah. So
she is really rare.
Shockingly rare, but she is cracked. She had to make one of our lists. So Ardia is going to be... So now we've got a fun little thing here. My number 2 was your number 4, and my number 4 is your number 2. So I guess I'll pick it up very quickly because you really were so thorough in your discussion of Hot Sit. I'll just say why Hot Sit made number 2 on my list. And that's really going to come down to how versatile she is and how there are several things in the game that I do think she is the best hero in the game at. She works for literally all four arena modes. I know we didn't really justify arena as being endgame, but I do think for a lot of pay-to-win players, PvP-focused players, people that you do reach the endgame where you will run out of content and you will want to focus arena, the fact that this ultimate can go down to 700 costs with 600 initial costs is just outrageous. You just drop her and it goes off. The damage on this thing is cracked beyond belief. Her range is unique during the ultimate, right? But it's made for the arena, and it's also made for Gear 8 2. I do think she's better than Comet for Gear 8 2. They're both played. I think they're the top 2 options. Maybe throw Virna in there. I think she's the best. And when I've done takeovers, I've been able to do 221 with some really janky gear on people's accounts during account takeovers, just by virtue of how she's super cheap, right? She's only a marksman, and she does not get the cost of an AoE marksman, which is typically 22. She gets the cost of a single target marksman, which is 12. She's just so easy to use, and she can slide in anywhere. And she's obviously amazing for Gear 8 3. Allura was the most overhyped hero ever. Allura is really, really good, but she's not that plug and play. Hotset is still way better for the right side than Allura is. She is just across the board. She's unbelievable, and Hotset's really good for 121 as well. The defense down she puts out, it unfortunately doesn't work in like Guild Boss because it needs to bounce around. But this goes up to 20%. You know, let's say you're running Constance or you're running Dolores, maybe you're running Autumn, and your damage still isn't enough. Hotset's going to give you really solid damage. You really only need magic damage for the first half of the fight. And then he's going to drop those defenses like crazy and make it a lot easier while doing some really cool stuff. Maybe you're running a hybrid Nightmare comp as well, especially if you're earlier on, if you're like in late game, heading towards endgame. I just find her, I don't think I have to justify it too much more. I think you did a great job, and I just find her a little bit that much better. I do think, and she's amazing in Nightmare Void Rift. I don't have her, and what I will say why she didn't make number one, and I think I think we have the same number one. I'd be shocked if we don't. The reason she didn't make number one, I don't have her, and I don't need her. Would I love to get her? I would love her more than any hero, probably, but I don't need her, right? Number one, we need. So maybe I'll let you talk about Eloin, who is your number two, was my number four, and then we can wax poetic about. We have the same number one, right?
Okay. So my Eloin placement is second place. Now, she is not a DPS hero like the other heroes, but she is just, like you said, so amazing. And she is even so future-proof, like you said. That debuff can actually come in quite handy when things get harder, when there are some bosses that place more debuffs. And her insane healing, her rage regen, she does everything you could wish for from a healer. Like she does not one thing good, she does multiple things just amazingly.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there is an argument she could be number one. I actually don't think I could say that about any. Maybe Ardia and her are the only people on my list that I actually think you could argue over number one. But I think you'd be wrong, and I think you're going to agree with me that you could be wrong. I'll let you take it. Let's cue him up. Silas. I will make one caveat, right? This is Endgame. So in Endgame, we're assuming that you have Silas and you have Virna. So you have unlocked his partner bond with Virna, Lost Love, which is going to allow him to basically double hit on his soul sniping that happens during his ultimate, which is probably why am I saying probably? This is the best Endgame move in the game. Silas whacking away with soul sniping. Take it away, my friend.
Exactly. So we had one thing that was important to me when we made these lists. We made these separately, and that was I was hoping for Fastidious that he also has Silas number one, because I have a strong opinion for him to be number one, because like I already mentioned at Ardia before, how defense works. Defense is extremely, like, it takes a lot away from your damage. And then Silas comes in with this 50% defense shred, insane multiplier, and his talents and passives are also not to be underestimated. They're also insanely strong. And he is just so strong. He's just so strong. He's gear rate 3, by far the highest damage dealer in the middle in stage 21. Setram doesn't get close to him because of the high defense these units have. On top of it, he's a way lower cost, which helps him out a lot as well. He's good in arena as well because he just shreds everything. He is insane in Void Rift, just absolutely insane in Void Rift. And he also can actually, even though he is a single target unit, I don't know if you knew that, but he can clear stage 221 on his own. Did you know that?
I've done it in some takeovers. It's
okay, yeah,
it's unbelievable.
And yeah, his main thing is that he gets through defense so well, and defense is your main problem in the absolute end game. Yeah. And the crazy part is, even though that this is his main selling point, is that he is next to Zillitu the only unit I've seen to hit over 200 million in Guild Boss. And Guild Boss doesn't have that high defense.
Yep.
So even then, he is up there in terms of damage like crazy.
Yeah, I think that's actually a great pivot, because I think if you don't know about it, I'm sure I'll put out a Silas guide, all right? You can look into soul sniping. The gist of it is, there's a few things that can activate it. The easiest way to activate it is just the ultimate being up, and then when you have the bond, it says 100% extra damage. This basically just means double. So I thought this meant it goes from 140 to 240. That's not how it works. It's going to go from, see 140 here. It's just going to, soul sniping will occur twice. So it really is 280. You'll actually see the animation with 2 hits. So that's why he's so cracked, right? But the reason people sleep on him for other stuff, like boss killing in Void Rift, if you haven't seen Silas in Void Rift, I'm actually considering doing a Nightmare Void Rift run where I'm not allowed to use Silas, because I think it's not fair how good he is. There's no one like him. There's literally no one like him. But people sleep on this passive, Eye of Curse. After attacking the same target for 5 seconds, inflicts Eye of Curse upon the target for 8 seconds. Eye of Curse will be triggered one time every 20 seconds. You can get this to last for 12 seconds, so basically you have a 60% uptime, and that will be permanent in the guild boss, right? 50% extra damage to targets with that from soul sniping. That's where the big damage comes from. The synergy within his kit is cracked out. You're getting those double hits if you have the bond, so essentially it's 100% extra damage, so basically you're getting 3 times damage that you normally would get. It just goes on and on with Silas. If you have a Racha, which is like what you're referencing with those crazy guild boss teams, it's the things he can do. Only Zealot 2 is better. There's no content. Even Gear Raid 121, a good Silas will delete every enemy so quickly it basically feels like AoE. 221, he's one of the best. He really doesn't seem like it. His cost is 12, so he's one of the best arena heroes in the game. There's literally nothing in the game he's not good at. I know he seems a little less sexy because he's a decently high pull rate. He's not super rare like Arrogance or Virna or Hatsit or Eloin. He's certainly not in those pull categories. And when you get him without Virna, he's only really, really good. He'd probably be, what do you think, like 9th on this list maybe? But with Virna, he's twice as strong almost. And I have to say, I think he's a candidate for the best awakenings in the game. 100 extra attack speed on Shadow Cloak. Oh, we have to say that too. He's a 12 cost. He's a single target with effectively with the damage of an AoE. And he gets that super low interval at only 2 seconds. You can easily get him to 1 second. Then you get that extra 100 attack speed. Basically, he'll go down to like 0.9 seconds, which is just mind-blowing. You really take advantage of that ult. Extra attack here. Here, this says more than 2. This is actually a mistake from testing. It's 2 or more. So he can target that he gives himself a 15% damage increase as well as someone else. So think Idril, think Hatsit. Doesn't matter. Just time out your marksman, you'll nail it. Here he gets some rage regen attack, which doesn't sound like much, but an extra 2 every attack if he's going at like 0.9 seconds during the ult is ridiculous. His ult will be up constantly. And then here, when you have that crazy mark that leads to that 50% extra damage, he's now going to deal. And now that target, this is what's so crazy. It's not that he just deals 15% extra physical damage. It's like a debuff on the target that easily stacks with other debuffs because no other people aren't doing it. It's a unique thing. That target is now marked, and every single ally will do 15% extra physical damage. So as long as they're not doing magic damage, cracked beyond belief. Can you guys tell that we like this hero? Is there anything left unsaid? I mean, it doesn't get better than Silas. I really don't think so.
No, for me, he's clear number 1. Like you said, even his awakenings are nuts. Even the 15% extra damage for another marksman like Hex and Guild Boss is just unbelievably strong. And current meta with the high defenses, he just rinses through everything like butter.
Yeah.
He cuts through like...
Quickly want to say Hex will have magic damage, but like your Arrogance, your Setrum, your Valeria, it's insane. The damage he's able to do. Actually, why don't we just quickly show it off just so people can see? You don't have to take our word for it. If we go to Guild Boss and we go here, this is always so clunky to get to. World rankings, you can see, let's check out this Silas. Look at that build, 104 BP. My sweet God, congratulations to you, Deegs. You deserve that shout out. You can see he's almost getting as much as Hex, and he's not even running an Aracha comp. Can you imagine that? He's almost matching a Hex with what is this? An Awakened 5 Twin Fiend, and he's not even running an Aracha comp. That is mind-blowing. Let's actually find someone. Is there anyone here? Here's an Aracha comp. Let's see. There's Silas beating Hex out, nearly getting to Zealot 2. A truly cracked out hero. All right, this is similar to what happened in our video with you where we went on forever about Dolores. Now I'm going on forever about Silas. Do you want to give your honorable mentions very quickly? I'll give mine and we can wrap this bad boy up.
Yeah, my honorable mention goes overall to the Arbiters faction itself, first of all, and a special honorable mention will go to Pelagios. Because I believe he has a lot of potential from reading through his kit. Unfortunately, he's not in the list because I haven't done some testing, so I can't really exactly evaluate how strong he will be, but from reading through his kits and also true damage seems to be extremely valuable, for the same reasons as the defense threat from Silas is extremely valuable. I believe some of these arbiters really have a lot of potential.
Absolutely. And guys, let us know in the comments. Ronaldo and I have been chatting behind the scenes about maybe doing a two-person kind of hero review. So where we would go on my test server account, do like a live recording where we would build out a Pelagius and test him, because I'm also super intrigued. So if people are interested in that, you'd be down for that, right, Ronaldo?
Definitely.
Sweet. So people are
I
interested in
like to test always.
Yeah, we got to get you on the test server. You do great things there. But I just got to say with Pelagius, he might be S tier just for this design. I mean, my sweet God. My sweet Poseidon. Okay, so for me, we have to give some love very briefly to Virna. I think I did a pretty good job. I sure hope I did in explaining why I picked Comet over her. And because we are assuming Endgame, I didn't want to give her, which you could argue, I didn't want to give her a bump in the rankings because of what she gives Silas, because we're already kind of assuming you have most heroes. But I could see an argument that she's like top 3 because she's probably a top 7 or 8 hero in the game, period. And she makes Silas the best hero in the game. So I think that is a very fair point. Before people explain that in the comments, I do want to give my final shout out to my OG, the 4th legendary hero I ever pulled, Arrogance. I guess let's talk about the good. One of the absolute best heroes in the game, and certainly maybe the single most versatile hero in the game. Incredible single target, incredible AoE, incredible debuffs, ground units, aerial units. He is a jack of all trades, a master of all trades. The knock against him is the damage is just a little bit worse than some of the other people we talked about, and that's basically just it. Do I still love him? Would he probably be number 6 on my list, I believe? Maybe number 7? Yes, it'd be between him and Zealatu for 6, but I do have to say he needs to be shouted out. So I had to do that before we wrapped up. Any final things for you? My headphone just fell out, so maybe that's a sign.
No, I think that's a good last mentioning. And other than that, thanks for having me, and stay tuned.
Yeah, totally my pleasure. Everyone go check out Ronaldo's content. Like I said, we did a top 5 endgame epics on his channel. He just put out a fantastic guide and showcase on Eye. Seems like it has tons of views, so I think a lot of you have probably found it, but if you haven't, I promise you this is worth your time. Thank you again, sir. Guys, if you like my stuff, like it. If you want to argue with us, get in the comments, subscribe, share with your mother. We'll see you in the next one.
All right then, have a good one.
Peace out.
Peace.
Fastidious.